Okay, I won't do this too long because I know many of us would like to go out now and enjoy a beverage or two. Dear friends, my name is Dan-Aria Sucuri, and I'm the president of the Liberal European Youth. We are a organization that gathers around 60 liberal youth organizations across Europe. And of course, the war in Ukraine has been a very, very special topic to us. And this has also been a topic that we have now been discussing for 2 days. We have been discussing the war in Ukraine, a war that many of us thought was unthinkable, and that has been met by shock and disbelief in Europe and other parts of the world. But the war in Ukraine has also been met by solidarity and unity on that Ukraine must win and Russia must lose. These are also the messages we have heard through these days. But dear friends, while many of us here, and I think actually all of us here agree that Ukraine must win, we had different views on to which extent we should help Ukraine, or ways on how we should help Ukraine. And while I personally have been agreeing with some of those views and disagreeing with others, I do believe it is very important that we gather at events like this and really discuss this out and find all the options, all the alternatives. Because if we who believe in democracy, believe in freedom, and believe in Western values, if we don't own the topic of Ukraine and own the response on how we should deal with the war, then what are the alternatives? Do we leave the faith of Ukraine to some German so-called intellectuals that would see Ukraine give up, so Europe don't have to change its status quo? Is that an alternative? I personally don't believe that. Or do we leave the faith of Ukraine to so-called peace movements, like the ones in Sweden where I live, that are so negative to US and NATO that they rather see thousands of deaths and Ukraine to cease existing than their own country joining a military alliance? No, I don't believe this is an alternative. And the real alternative and the real response from the Western democracies should come from people like you, politicians, journalists, philosophers, who have dedicated their careers to uphold and defend the Western democracies. And this is why I believe that events like these are very important. And I also would like to say that when you bring your experiences on what we should do in Ukraine, I'm very thankful for that. But I also believe that when we discuss the Western world's response to this war, we should also include the perspectives and the ideas that the generation I represent holds. Of course, I talk about the youth. Because while we from the young generation don't have perhaps the same historical contexts of what happened in the 80s or what happened 100 years ago or 50 years ago. Okay, I don't think 100 years anyone here has, but still. While we don't have those contexts necessarily, or the professional experiences on how to solve a war, we do have visions and ideas that has led to the fall of the Berlin Wall. Vision and ideas of a free world that has led to the Maidan protest in 2014. And vision and ideas that are making us convinced that supporting Ukraine is the only alternative. Because when we support Ukraine, we also support the values that we all hold dear. And that, for me, is a fact. Dear friends, as a liberal, as I said before, I don't believe in society utopia, like many perhaps from the socialists and the communist doctrine believe in. I believe that the society is in constant motion and that the politics, the power of politics, needs to be vigilant and act on all the challenges and developments it faces. And right now, liberal democracy are facing the war in Ukraine and need to act on that. And this is why I once again believe that we need to extend our fullest support. Because if Russia loses this war, it will withdraw its troops, and we will see perhaps another Russia. But if Ukraine loses this war, we will see a country ceasing to exist, and with it, perhaps our values that we discussed so much here, our democracy, and even our principles. And this, I think, is very dear to me, and I think it's very dear to many of us. And I think this highlights the importance on why we talk about this topic and come with solutions. Yes. And with that said, I would also lastly like to thank the Tocqueville Foundation and the Tocqueville family. I am personally very, very grateful for being here, and I have learned so much. And I know many of us have also widened our perspectives and gotten a lot of knowledge. I really do hope that we meet here once again. And hopefully when we meet here, maybe in a year, we will not discuss the war in Ukraine, but how to build Ukraine. That is my vision. Thank you so much, and now I'll let you enjoy the drinks.
Thank you, Dan. Great conclusion. So I'm not going to conclude again. I just wanted to, after your the great conclusion of this bright representative of the young generation, I just wanted to thank all our debaters for this formidable light that they shed on the, the stakes and the situation, the pros and cons of everything. So that was really remarkable. That leaves us with a lot of thought food. I don't know if we should be reasoned pessimist or prudent optimist. In any case, I've learned, like you, I've learned a lot. Yes. But it will be for you, the young generation, to put, everything, take action, and so it's also a real burden on the shoulders of our politicians, that's for sure. In any case, thank you very much to all our debaters. Thank you to you for being here. I hope that you enjoy these 2 days. I would also like to thank very much our translators, and I think we should give them a round of applause. And our technicians. You probably saw that the techniques was perfect. And the masterminder of the organization, Thibault Lafont, of the Tocqueville Foundation. Thank you, Thibault. And Stephanie and the whole team of friends who helped us, making sure that you spent 2 happy days. So thank you again for everything. Laure, it's, what can I say? Thank you so much, Laure. Thank you so much. So the 2022 Tocqueville Conversations are now closed, and have a great year, and see you next year. Thank you.